All right, people. Happy to be back. It's been about 2 to 3 weeks. I haven't released a video, so I gotta say I'm a little bit edgy. I'm a little bit eager to release one video for you guys. So please sit back, relax, take a little bit of popcorn, call the family, and enjoy the show. We got a good one for you, I think, today, right? But just before we start, please uh, punch the subscribe button. That will be greatly appreciated. And obviously, the show is going to be great, no worries. So if you like it, just punch the like button as well. That will be appreciated as well. What kind of show do we have for you today? I mean, this is not going to surprise you because this is something that has been running in social media lately, carried out by these little dicky UFC dicky writers, let's say the Chels of this world, the Daniel Cormier of this world, the Bisping of this world. And I'm going to stop there. I'm going to add maybe Sean O'Malley because I have to, right? Because it's totally irrelevant, but he find a way to try to stick his nose somewhere where he doesn't know, right? But in any case, let's start, right? So definitely what we want to do today, we want to see we're gonna do a prediction of who's your daddy fight prediction. Basically, we're gonna see who's daddy if he was coming to a fight, if a fight were to happen between these two guys, between Boneless Jonette Jones and the Predator Francis Ngannou. That will be very interesting. So again, like I'm saying, it's going to be a pretty basic one, pretty basic prediction with basic analysis, but an analysis that is going to make total sense, believe you me, right? So there's two aspects into that the video that I'm going to make today, right? The one to answer the question where people are kind of claiming there's this narrative carried out by Charles Sonnen, Bisping, and all these little uh, 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 followers, or I don't know, puppet of the UFC, right? Saying that Francis Ngannou is dodging boneless Jonette Jones? No, come on. And this is what's happening today. So the first part, we're going to try to answer that question, right? Very quickly and very simply and strongly, right? And after that, we're going to go into the detail of right if there was a fight between these two guys, between Jonette Boneless Jones and the Predator Francis Ngannou, who will be whose daddy. So this is going to be the who's your daddy's fight prediction. Let's go. Let's go. So what do we have here? So we got the two forces in presence. Who do we got? We got Boneless and we got the Predator, right? So on the Predator, we can see that they almost have the same age, man. So they I think that they're a little bit, I'm not sure if they're still 34, 36. I don't remember what they say, but they're 1 year difference, right? 1 year difference. Now the number of fight that they have, we know that Boneless been in the game for a little bit longer than Francis Ngannou, so he got 28 fight, a lot more experience than the Predator, right? That has 19 fight under his belt. Boneless Jonette Jones on his side got 26 wins, impressive, and the Predator 16, right? The losses, only one for Boneless, three for the Predator. The one from Boneless, I think it was a DQ, but who cares? A DQ is a loss, is a defeat, right? I mean, you got to follow the rules. There's rules, and you got to follow the rules. We know that Boneless is not used to follow the rules, right? Like DUI, violence, uh, domestic violence, and all that stuff. We know he's not used to follow the rules, right? What a champion, right? That's the type of champion, by the way, that the UFC likes, right? Somebody DUI, of domestic violence, bring it on. We'll take you. There's no problem about this, right? So now, on the side of the Predator, three defeats. We remember what those defeats are actually for two of them. The first one, I think, was out of the UFC, and the two other ones, well, they were pretty epic, right? The defeat against Stipe Miocic in the first fight that he had against him. where he really got owned during four rounds, right? But hey, but pretty solid the guy. I mean, he took some shots and kept fighting until the end. So enough respect for the guy. The second one was obviously the fight of shame with Derek Lewis, type of fight that we don't hope to see from him again, and hopefully it won't happen. And on the boneless side, we can see that he only has and he has another one that is no contest. So when you come to it, right, people are saying that he never lost. I'm sorry, he lost one and he got one no contest, so he didn't win two. It's as simple as that. I mean, there's rules, you got to follow them. Again, I say, even if you don't. Now 10 KOs for boneless, 12 for the Predator. We're not going to play the game of percentage here. We know who's the KO artist, and for the other guy, Boneless, is, you know that it's accumulation. That is not your KO artist. No, the KO artist is on the other side. We know that, right? And Boneless himself knows that, right? And maybe that's why he's been dodging the guy for 3 years before the guy left, right? So, but we're gonna get into it. No worries, no worries, right? That's the first part. That's going to be the first part of the show, right? And now he's got 6 submission, mind you. Boneless got 6 submission in his 28 fight. A wrestler, man, like a proven wrestler that has been wrestling like in his college year and all that stuff, right? 6 submission only, and you got the other guy that people are claiming that he doesn't know wrestling, he doesn't know nothing of his back, got 4 submission, right? So if we look into the percentage of submission here, who's the submission artist? This is not Boneless. Boneless is not the submission artist after 28 fight, only 6 submission. We got one that's got 16 fight, 4 submission. Impressive yet again, right? They have about the same size, the same height, the same reach. They're both orthodox. So, guys, boom, let's start the show and let's have a little fun. Please, please educate me, my man. Educate me. So let's go. So yeah, we've been seeing what's going on in the news. People have been laughing about it. Seeing John Jones, the boneless one, calling out Francis Ngannou, right, after beating Cyril Gane, right, after beating Cyril Gane in an impressive fashion, as everybody's saying, right, but forgetting to say at the end of the day that styles make fight. And that when all these guys, these matchmakers are making fight, yeah, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They know that, example, Gagey and Poirier is going to be fireworks, right? They know that it's going to be fireworks because they know their style, they know their weaknesses, they know their strength, and they know that combine the two in an octagon, they know what is the result is going to be, right? So just to say, I'm just saying, people, that when they put Gan and Boneless Jonette Jones in the same octagon, they knew what was going on. They knew the weaknesses of this Gan guy, right? They knew his weaknesses, right? And actually, Francis Ngannou, the Predator, has already exposed those weaknesses. Not only exposed, but has given the blueprint to beat this guy, to beat Cyril Gane. Bottom line, that's that, right? So the narrative is the following: that Francis Ngannou is running away from Boneless. And they calling Francis Ngannou a little girl. Okay, so we had that tweet that is epic now, that has been running all over the place, calling yourself Boneless Jones, saying, okay, calling yourself the baddest man on the planet from across the street? Who does that, lol, right? And Francis Ngannou answers like he's always been answering since this guy's been calling him out, right? Then cross the street. Stop talking, quit talking, cross the street, right? And so this is basically what's been going on for more than 3 years now, right? Since Boneless Jones was supposed to come into the announce in the heavyweight division. 3 years, 3 years. This guy's been dodging him. I don't know why. Yeah, we know why the fight never took place. We know what the fight never took place, and we know all the excuses they're giving, right? But we know also that all this was not on the Predator side, right? We know very very well that the UFC was holding that fight as a little carrot, right? That okay, if you sign here for this amount of cash, right? Then we will give you that little carrot here that is Johnny Boneless Jonette, right? Or Jonette Boneless Jones, right? We will give you this guy. We will give you that fight, that money fight. But on the other hand, don't forget that Boneless Jones, right? Boneless Jones, all this time, right? He was also arguing for money. For some reason, he wanted to have a lot of cash, to have how can I say the honor to be knocked out by the Predator. So obviously Boneless was going back and forth, and we remember all that saga. We remember all that saga where he was talking back and forth with the UFC, asking them, telling them that 8 to 10 million was not enough, right, for a fight of that magnitude, right? We remember that. Maybe himself doesn't remember that, but he was the one who was arguing about all that cash, right? So when they're saying now that Francis Ngannou was running away from Boneless, this is just a bunch of bull, right? And everybody knows that. Everybody that is not like your low level MA UFC puppet, right? Dana White, Dicky Ryder, everybody knows that, right? They're trying to push that narrative out there, right? That Francis Ngannou is running away from who? I don't even know from who he's running out, because to be honest with you, the way that I see it, right? When I analyze the things, frankly, I mean, Francis Ngannou is going to destroy Boneless. Francis Ngannou would destroy Boneless. I mean, annihilate Boneless. Boneless doesn't exist, right? Because anyway, he's been running away ever since, right? So let's leave it alone, right? Let's just leave this alone, right? Because we know that Boneless been finding all these excuses in the world not to fight, and what he's been using as an excuse is the amount of money that they were paying him to be able to fight. But he's not that stupid as well, because he knew that fight was the fight. That fight was the fight that was going to give him a big payday. Like he was saying, I used to fight like for 2 millions a fight, right? But for a fight of this magnitude, forget it. I want my payday. Every fighter has the right for a payday after all the injury that we suffer, concussion and so on and so forth, right? Oh, a little talk that resemble a little bit what Francis Ngannou was fighting for, basically fighting for him. But some people have guts, some people have self-respect, some people have honor, some people have conviction, other people don't. What can I say? That's that. Right? So Boneless, maybe that's the right nickname for him, right? So that's what we have here, right? So basically, Boneless for 3 years I've been running away, with that narrative that he wanted more money. Obviously, the UFC had two things on their mind. First of all, I'm pretty sure that they were ready to give him that money, but they first wanted to put Francis Ngannou under contract, and Francis Ngannou didn't want to be under contract if his condition weren't met, right? So that's why basically that fight maybe didn't happen during that time. That's what I believe. That's why that fight didn't happen during that time, right? Boneless on one side was running away, and the UFC on the other hand were stuck in an arm wrestling with Francis Ngannou, that didn't want to sign, that didn't want to get stuck into a contract that was going to handcuff him to the UFC and render him powerless for I don't know how many years. So guys, please, keep your eyes open. I know that these guys like the Bisping, the Chelsonen are old legend, like people like to call them, right? The Cormier are legends, like they like to call them. But trust yourself a little bit. Have a little bit of self-respect, and try to think a little bit by yourself, and try to, and start to believe a little bit what you see, right? Because sometimes what you see is what you get, right? So that's the first part. Now the second part, just to add to who is running away from who, right? Just after that Francis and guys, just after Francis left the UFC, and we have to remember this very clearly, man. The way the guy left the UFC is epic. The guy is a legend. No shit, he's a legend, right? And when we're talking about legacy, I mean, forget it. The guy, his life story is a legend, and he's breaking ground after ground after ground, right? How did he achieve his release from the UFC? The UFC gave him fighter after fighter trying to make him bite the dust, right? Trying to make him bite the dust, making him understand that, listen, the next guy that you're going to face here, example, you're going to face Stipe again, right? Stipe already crushed you, right? So I think that you better sign, because if you lose, we're just going to drop you like like nothing, right? Like if you were dirt, we're going to drop you like if you were dirt. I mean, it's easy to understand that, guy. It's easy to understand that, right? So putting pressure on him before every fight, before the Stipe fight. If you don't sign here, don't forget it. After the Stipe fight, this is not the same offer that you're going to receive, my man, right? If you lose, this is not the same thing. Oh, we're just going to drop you, right? The guy bet it on himself. Fought Stipe, man, won the fight. Excellent, right? Now to the next one, right? What was proposed to him? The next thing, right? The guy who was moving like a lightweight at heavyweight, the magician Cyril Soft Gan, right? Bon gamin that people now call the soft one, or I don't understand. I mean, it's sad, man, for this guy, for Gan. I gotta say it's sad, man, because I think that he's becoming a joke, right? He's got to make a statement somehow. I do believe he has to make a statement. I do believe that a guy like Fernando Lopez is kind of too. He's bending over too much to the UFC, right? And he does everything that the UFC asks him to do, and he's not thinking by himself, right? So unfortunately, now he kind of rubs on Cyril Gane, and people are starting to see Cyril Gane as a joke. All these praises that he had before, and that's funny because it kind of reminds me a little bit of Francis, right? When people used to see him as this guy unbeatable and strong and all that stuff, and that when he lost against Stipe, they kind of started shitting on him and all that stuff. So no, Gun is yeah, it reminds me a little bit of that, because now he's kind of becoming kind of a joke to everyone. The little guy who moves, stick and move, touch, don't be touched, like an heavyweight, but gets submitted in 2 seconds by Boneless. Come on, man, that's totally ridiculous, right? That's ridiculous. Now here we go. So Francis Ngannou they gave him that fight. They gave him the next best thing, Cyril Gane. Cyril Gane went through like the different opponent. As we know, Cyril Gane is not your KO artist as well. He's a little bit like Boneless Jones. He's not your KO artist, right? He's doing his technique, his TKO by accumulation of punches, trying to actually trying to win on the outside, right? Not to really going in the inside or taking the guy to the ground, wrestling, grappling. No, that's not his thing, right? His thing is like standing up, coming from a Muay Thai background, just sticking to that and try to come in, come out. That's his game. That's his game, and that's how he did his bread and butter, and that's how he did his money, right? So they gave Francis Ngannou Cyril Gane, and again, the odds were in favor of Cyril Gane, obviously, and the UFC keeps complimenting Gane, saying that this guy is too fast, he's too strong, a lot of technique, got too much things on it, too much tools. His fight IQ is totally crazy and all that stuff, right? Francis Ngannou beat the freaking guy with one knee totally busted up. And what's funny to say, guys, is that when all these little UFC dicky riders that we see the Bisping, we see the Chelsea on it, and I'm sorry, guys, like you guys are good guys, maybe, right? Like in your home or if we see you in public, but what you're doing on social media is nothing that but shit, right? Nothing but because the image that anyway I have of you through social media, right, is people that are selling out, people that don't care about fighters, people that don't care about people that care about fighters, people that are lying, people that are at the UFC that are puppet of the UFC. That's how I see you guys, right? I think that's how a lot of people are seeing you, and I'm pretty sure that, to be honest, you guys must be good guys. And when we come to talk about with you, I mean, it must be a good conversation and so on and so forth. But the way that it transpired out here on the social media, man, you don't look good. You really don't look good. You guys looks like real sellouts. To be honest, that's how I see it. So Francis Ngannou with a busted knee, man. Again, it's legendary. Francis Ngannou with the busted knee. I mean, when you're going to do a movie, you remember that movie like Rocky Balboa, right? Adrian! You remember that movie, Rocky Balboa? Yeah, you remember that. When, okay, it's at the end of the fight that, okay, bang, epic fight. And at the end, yeah, he's victorious, right? That's the same thing with Francis Ngannou. I mean, can you imagine the movie, the suspense, right? He's losing the two first round, people. He's losing the two first round and comes back on the third round, right? With a strategy of taking Gunn down, where people say that he didn't know how to wrestle, where people say that he didn't have a good fight IQ. Come on now, right? Win the two following round, 2-2, going into the fifth round and the fifth and final round. And in the fifth or final round, it was a repeat actually of the first four round, right? Where Gan kind of took the upper hand at the beginning. Then Francis Ngannou came back and again with the wrestling, got his belt back and his freedom back. That's the most important thing. Can you believe that this little bullhead egghead of Dana White didn't even come in the octagon to give him the belt? Isn't that ridiculous? I mean, it tells you a bunch out of this guy, one, and out of the guys that are following him and that are shitting on Francis Ngannou now, knowingly, because I'm pretty sure that these are the same guys that maybe are texting him and telling them, listen, man, I have no choice. I have to do this because my daddy, Dana White, is asking me to do it, right? My daddy, Dana White, is asking me to do this, so I have no choice. Otherwise, he's going to cut me in half, and he's not going to give me my proper due, my little money, right? My little cash. So this was an epic. That's how Francis Ngannou got his freedom. He didn't get his freedom for free. He fought for his freedom, man. And the UFC at every step of the way, they're trying to bring him down. But he said no. He stood to his gun and he's got his freedom. So that's the first part. So when people are saying that he's running away from Boneless, please, he's just waiting for Boneless to cross the street. Boneless wasn't ready to cross the street already back then, right? But now he's waiting for him to cross the street, right? So this is the first part, right? The first part where 3 years passed and Boneless was still running away, right? Oh, I want to be a heavyweight. I want to prepare myself. I want money. I want this. I want that. In the meantime, DUI, domestic violence, and the UFC on the other side. Francis signed here, signed there, signed here, signed there. Francis didn't want because he had his convictions. And the UFC, if you don't sign, no fight with John Boneless Jones, and all that stuff, right? That's how he worked. But he succeeded to fight his thing out. So the other part now, what's funny is just right after the Predator got his freedom, people are saying he's released. That reminds me a little bit of one when Francis Ngannou told one that they weren't the one actually that he chose, that they say that, oh no, it's them who said that they didn't want to deal with him anymore because he's you know what, he wants this, he wants that, right? So the UFC did a little bit the same thing. They, we released him because we cannot work with this guy. He's impossible to work with. The hell with that, right? He's impossible to work with. So it's funny, right, that when Francis left, right after that, who do we see who has find his balls back? Boneless Jonette Jones comes back in the picture. And now we don't hear about anything like, I want more than $10 million and all that stuff, right, for one fight. We don't hear that anymore. He got right into the picture. And what happens now? He got right into the picture, and what happens? Yeah, he fought Syrian Sofgan to win the belt, right? An easy fight for him, an easy fight, and everybody knows why. And anybody knows how. Everybody who has eyes and understand MMA, right, knows how and why he wins, and knows that it was an easy fight for Boneless, right? No matter what people say, it was an easy fight for Boneless. So he finds his balls back, right? And by the way, he's a bully, this guy, because he. Anyway, I'll tell you what after. We're gonna go into the second part after. So we're still talking about like who's running away from who. And to make matter worse, because when you hear that, right, and people are saying that the Predator is running away from Boneless, right? That's the narrative that they're trying to put out, right? But remember this though. Never then or why he's going to want to have a fight between Francis Ngannou and Boneless, right? And just a little side note, when we're talking about people like dropping the bag, fumbling the bag, I mean, the UFC and Dana Eggplant White are the one that have fumbled the bag, because that fight would have been epic. That fight would have brought like pay-per-view like they've never seen before. He knows that. People know that. So the people who have fumbled the bag, I mean, big time, it is those guys from the UFC. Right? So now I was saying that, man, so he fought, now he's fighting Soft Gan, and he's not talking anymore about like the freaking 10 millions, all that for the fight. He's not talking about that. This Boneless guy, he's not talking about that. He just went there, grabbed the championship belt, like if it was going to make of him like the new baddest man on the planet. Yeah, forget it. The baddest man on the planet left. You're the champion of the UFC. That's what you are. You are the champion of the UFC. But the baddest man on the planet just left the UFC without being beaten. It's as simple as that to understand. And I do believe that anybody who understands what sport is understand that. Francis Ngannou was the baddest man on the planet, being the champion of the UFC at the time, because at the time we were saying that the champion of the UFC is the baddest man on the planet, assuming that the UFC have the best fighters, right? So he left without being beaten. So yes, they have a new champion. Agree. It's Boneless Jonette Jones, right? But John Z here is not yet the baddest man on the planet, because the baddest man on the planet's left, and now the baddest man on the planet is with the PFL. That's what we're talking about, brothers, right? No matter what, again, those UFC dicky riders want to tell you, like Bisping wants to tell you, like those I don't know who wants to tell you, right? The baddest man on the planet currently, the baddest man on the planet is with the PFL. So now Jones is talking all that crap, right? Trying to say that he wants Francis Ngannou, but that Francis Ngannou is running away because he's changed his company, right? Well. You know what? Just cross the street, Bonzi Josie. Just cross the street. But he cannot do that because he's going to answer the same thing that he answered Tyson Fury, right? If you want to fight me, call my daddy Dana White because I cannot do anything by myself, right? Call my daddy Dana White. He might be able to arrange something, right? Why? Because he's stuck with 8 fights. Can you believe that? So he's calling out Francis Ngannou, right? Knowing perfectly that he cannot fight him. Isn't that sleazy? Isn't that cowardly? That's crazy. I mean, he knows that he's stuck in a contract of 8-fight contract. He knows that this contract basically means that he's going to end up his career being like tagged UFC, right? Like they used to tag the slaves, right? He must have actually the mark in his back. I'm pretty sure he's somewhere there, right? So he's calling Francis Ngannou, knowing perfectly that Francis Ngannou cannot fight him. That Dana White basically wouldn't allow him to fight Francis Ngannou with another promotion. While on the other side, and when Francis Ngannou says cross the street, he means it in the sense that the promotion with which he is ready to do a cross promotion fight. Definitely. He's ready to do a cross-promotion fight, right? PFL against UFC. Why not? That would be the greatest thing. I mean, it would bring some record pay-per-view, to be honest with you. Record pay-per-view. So the one who's running away right now, who's talking out of his ass right now, I mean, this is Boneless Jonette, right? Jonesy here is talking out of his behind. And when you smell it, actually it smells like shit, right? What he's saying. I'm sorry, right? I'm trying to be polite. But it is the truth. It is the truth. I mean, in what world is Dana White going to agree on that, right? Dana White knows better. He knows that Francis Ngannou will fuck him up. Definitely. He knows that Francis Ngannou will knock the lights out of this paper champion, of this bully who's only fighting like smaller guys or fighting guys that don't know how to wrestle. Simple as that. He knows the danger, right? And if ever, like, this Boneless guy was to fight Francis Ngannou and get knocked out, I mean, how would it look for the UFC? It would look really bad, right? Really bad. So, let's close that chapter. That's the first chapter. Let's close that chapter saying that Francis Ngannou is running away from this is absurd. But on the other side, when you hear Boneless trying to call this and that, and you heard, right? He was calling out Fury. When Fury answered, what did he say? You have to call my daddy. You have to call my daddy Dana White. He's the one taking the decision for me. I cannot think by myself, right? Freaking guy's 30, 34, 35. He cannot think by himself. He's handcuffed. Like people are dragging him left, right, center like a puppet. Right? Like a puppet. And that's what Francis Ngannou was fighting against. You know what I mean? That's what Francis Ngannou was fighting against. Right? So, Boneless Jonesy. Right? He finds his balls just to lose them right after. What happens? Right happens. So this is the first part, guys. So don't believe the hype, like the song say, Public Enemy, right? Number 1. Don't believe that hype, guys. Don't believe that hype. See things clearly. See things through, right? Because you know better. You guys know better, right? Definitely, you guys know better. So if somebody tells you that Francis Ngannou is running away from Boneless Jonette, that's not the case. That's not the case. I told you so. 3 years, Boneless was running from Ngannou, pretexting. And you remember what Dana White used to say, right? Used to say, yeah, you say you want to fight, but do you really wanna? You say you want to fight, but do you really wanna? That's what he was saying back in the day, the Fortis court and all that stuff, right? That's what he was saying back in the days, right? Not anymore, not anymore. But that's what he was saying before, right? And after that, you got Jonesy in the contract, 8 years. He's stuck there. He's blocked. He cannot move a finger by himself, and he's starting to call Ngannou out. Who does that? Who does that? Right? Who does that? Crazy, crazy. So that's the first part. I'll lay that to rest. We're going to go to the main thing right now. The main thing. So people are saying, oh, I hear those again, and I'm pretty sure that it's propaganda saying that, oh, Jones beat Cyril Gane in 2 seconds while it took like 5 rounds for Francis Ngannou to beat Cyril Gane. Who cares? Who cares? First of all, people are busting our ears every day saying that fight styles makes fight, which basically is the truth, right? Styles do make fights, right? And that also MMA maths is not 2 plus 2 equal 2 or whatever, or 4 or what. You know what? MMA math doesn't mean that you beat this guy, so this guy is going to beat the other guy. You beat in 2 seconds, he's going to beat the other guy. No, that's not how it works. And without forgetting to say at the same time that Francis Ngannou beat this guy with freaking one leg. With one leg. He beat this guy with one leg. Can you believe that? When you look at the fight that Jones had against Cyril Gane, you remember the type of fight. I mean, on his feet, he looks really awkward, unbalanced. He was like off balance all the time. Like for the few seconds we saw him on his feet, right? And when he had the occasion to take Gane down, I mean, he grabbed and hold on to him with like for his life, with dear life. You know what I mean? Obviously, he had to. The first round, I mean, the body's pretty dry. You know what I mean? You don't have sweat. It's easier to grab the guy and bring him down. So he wanted absolutely to get Gane down and try to do his thing on the ground. But believe you me, if that fight would have lasted like 2 more rounds, he was in a world to hurt. Let me tell you that. Gane is soft, but on the outside, he's pretty tricky. He's pretty tricky. Right? He would have battered those little calves that he got, that Jones got. And whew, believe you me, Francis can break those little calves. He might be able to break those little calves like through and through. Believe you me, right? So when people are saying that and comparing and saying that, because the narrative is pretty simple. They want to make people forget that the baddest man on the planet is with the PFL. They want to make us believe that Jones is the GOAT. He's been doing all this winning and all this. He's got a record of victories and all. Forget that. It doesn't mean shit, to be honest with you. Because when you look at it, right? When you look at Jones, first of all, I'm gonna tell you this, right? Jones was in the lightweight, always fighting like fighters that are smaller than him. And you know very well, and we've seen those fights against Gustafsson, against Dominic Reyes, a fight that he lost, to be honest with you. A fight that he lost. Right? The first one against Gustafsson, arguably he lost it as well. Yeah? That was shady. All these 2 fights were shady. Yeah, he won the second one against Gus, agreed. But the first one and the fight against Reyes, especially the fight against Reyes, man, I don't agree with this. And actually, let's look a little bit at something here when we're talking about the fight against Dominic Reyes. Let's maybe let's look at the fight against Dominic Reyes. You know what? Let's look at the fight against Dominic Reyes. Let's do Jones. Because I just want to show you Jones. versus Reyes. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. We're gonna say all here. Okay, guys. So what happens? The fight between with Reyes here, UFC. UFC Bones Dominic Reyes. Pop, pop, pop. Let's look at this a little bit. Let's go, people! Fight replay. Welcome to the UFC. Let's go. So here we go. So let's look for this guy. Maybe is it here? Let's look for Boneless. I think yeah. Let's look for Boneless Jones. Boneless Jones. Okay. You can actually see we find him, Boneless Jones. So let's go. Let's see his fight history against Cyril Gann. Freaking fracking rock. Let's go here. Do we have the stats? What I want to do basically, guys, is show you the stats, right? Just bear with me just a second because I just want to see the stats. That's what I want to see here, right? Takedowns, striking accuracy. Up. Okay. No, that's just the stats for him. Okay. So let's go to ESPN because I do believe that ESPN MMA is a lot better in terms of statistic. If you ask me, I mean, if you ask my opinion, I'm going to give you my opinion. If you don't ask my opinion, I won't ask. I won't tell it to you. I won't give you my opinion. But if you ask it, let's be clear. I'm going to give it to you. It's as simple as that, right? So let's look for Jones here. Jones, right? Boom, we got him here. And where is he taking us? Here he is. All right, let's go here. Boom. And guys, you're going to you got to tell me this, right? You have to make me understand how this guy, how he could have won when we see those numbers. Total strikes 119, 107, 116, 104, 41, 31, 48, 30, 27, 43. Oh, he won on leg kicks. He won on leg kicks and on takedown, people. That's how he won. So let's be honest, and let's call like a cat or whatever, right? He lost the fight against Dominic Reyes. Period. He lost the fight against Dominic Reyes, and now he's busting our things, telling us that Francis Ngannou, he's scared, he's running away from him. I mean, he must be delusional somehow, right? And the UFC and all the little puppets of the UFC must be delusional as well, right, guy? It's pretty simple. They must be delusional. So now, here we go. If there was a fight between the two of them, who would win? But let me tell you this. The guy who would win, again, people are saying that he's got the fight IQ, like he's fought a lot of people. Again, I just told you that his resume, the 27 people that, I don't know, 27 fight, what he fought, he fought most of the time, he fought smaller fighters than him. Smaller, or fighters that didn't have a complete skill set, toolbox, right? Like Cyril Gann. But when he was confronted to people about the same size that had about the same reach, he had trouble. He had trouble against the Dominic Reyes. He had trouble against the Gustafsson, even against the Thiago Santos, right? He had trouble with them, right? And we know that. And we know that his victory in those cases was shady. It's the fact. I mean, I'm not even arguing. I'm telling you, it's a fact. That's all. Right? Boneless is what he is, and I mean, we don't call him boneless for nothing, right? So when he's coming here and people are saying that he's going to do the same thing to the Predator that he did to Soft Gan, crazy shit. That's totally stupid. And the people that are believing that, oh my god, they're so gullible. They don't know nothing. They don't know nothing, to be honest with you. The Predator is gonna knock his lights out. Period. Period. Right? And I'm going to tell you another thing. Why? This guy, no matter what people say, is getting hit. I mean, Dominic Reyes hit him, like tagged him multiple times, hard. Tagged him. Oh, I'm not saying that he doesn't have a chin, but I'm not saying also that he made like the type of power that Francis Ngannou possesses, right? He got tagged by Reyes. He got tagged by Gustafsson, big time. He even got taken down by Gustafsson. He got tagged by even Daniel Cormier. Let's look a little bit, right? I mean, you guys are thinking that I'm joking and that I'm talking through my ass and stuff like that. But let's look a little bit. Let's look a little bit at this, right? This is against Dominic Reyes. Look at him. He cannot even like take him down to save his life. Like 5 rounds, he took him down twice, and Dominic Reyes got down. I'm telling you, he get hit, right? This left from Francis Ngannou, lights out. You're sleeping, my bro. Talk to you tomorrow. Look at the uppercut here. Boom. Semi uppercut from Ngannou. Bro, I see you next week, right? When you wake up, right? Look at this again, right? The guy gets hit. He's not hard to find. He's not hard to find. Look at this. I mean, look at the nose. Look at the nosebleed. I mean, this is totally crazy. You think that he's going to keep standing if Francis Ngannou tagged him like that? Do you think so? Tell me, do you really think so? Let's look at that again. Take down. And if he cannot take Dominic Reyes down, how is he going to take down Francis Ngannou? Are you crazy? Are you freaking out of your mind? And you think that this is going to keep standing? I mean, he's going to be looking at the back of his feet like Joe Rogan said, right? Same thing that over him. Look at this, man. I mean, from Francis Ngannou? Come on, guys. If you're realistic, you know what's up. You know what's up. Look at this, right? And if you think that and look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. This is not over. Look at here. Look at here. This is a killer. I mean, this is the Sandman. The guy puts you to sleep, right? He doesn't even have to give you a perfect punch. He puts you lights out right to sleep. You know what I mean? Boom. Let's go. So you're going to tell me, look at this, Jairzinho Rosenstruck. You're going to tell me that Boneless is going to do the same thing, right, that he did against Cyril Softgan. Is that what you're telling me? And you guys are saying really that, and you're serious. Look at what he did to freaking Blaze, Curtis Blades, right? Look at what he did to him. You understand? I mean, this guy is something else. He's a different beast. And what I do believe, though, is that people only understand the type of person the type of beast they're up against only once they clinch up with him and that they feel his strength. When this freaking guy, a serious Afghan or anybody, when everybody is telling you that this guy is strong like crazy, I mean, at one time you have to start believing it. You understand what I mean? And he means it. You understand? This guy is fighting. He's not only fighting for money. He's not fighting for money. He's not only fighting for pride. He's fighting for more than that, right? He's fighting for more than that. He's fighting for his country. He's got a history of, breaking barriers, man, and achieving, man. So if you put this guy in front of something that people say that he can't do, believe you me, he's going to dismantle Boneless Jones. He's going to destroy Jonette Boneless Jones. I'm telling you this right now, right? So, in this prediction that we're calling "Who's Your Daddy?" Okay, who's your daddy? Who's daddy? Right now. To be honest with you, Francis is going to end up on top, for sure, for real. is going to end up on top. And everybody knows that. The only thing that is going right now is that the UFC is trying to save his face, right? The UFC is trying to do some damage control. And doing that damage control involves running Ngannou in the dust, in the dirt, right? Trying to say that, first of all, he's not the real champion. He's not the GOAT. He's not the baddest man on the planet. That John Jones, because of his credential, John Boneless Jones, because of his credential, is the toughest guy. So that's why they gave him that narrative. They asked him to talk to Francis Ngannou, to try to put him down, try to call him names like if he was scared, like if he was running away. But we know better than that, people. We know better than those guys, right? We know better than them, right? Because we know that who's running away, who the guy who cannot cross the street, the guy who cannot talk without looking behind him at Dana White asking for permission, right, to do anything. And we know that the organization that doesn't want that fight to happen, cross promotion, is the UFC. Because people, that fight, if you guys are pushing the UFC to have that fight, you're going to have that fight. It is not because the Predator is in another promotion that that fight cannot happen. That fight won't happen if you don't ask it. It's as simple as that. If you keep, going with the narrative of the UFC, the Bisping, the Chelsonen, the O'Malley, and those little crap here, if you keep going, then you're not going to have that fight. If you want that fight, ask the UFC for that fight. Because on the other side, the PFL is ready to do cross promotion. Do you understand? So when Francis is saying cross the street, it means it. When the other guy is saying, yeah, you're saying that from across the street, it doesn't mean shit. He's just talking through his ass, right? And it doesn't smell good. Because why do I say he's talking like that? Because he doesn't have any power. He doesn't hold any power whatsoever of decision. But if he has the guts, if he really wanted it, he would be saying, like what he said to Fury, that okay, no worries, send it to Dana White, right? And I'll go and I'll duke it out with you. And we'll see who's the best. But he's not doing that. For Francis Ngannou, the only thing he's saying is just calling him out. But he's not saying that, okay, you told me to cross the street? Okay, I'm gonna talk to Dana White and I want this fight. And then he be trolling Dana White. He'd be trolling Dana White for a fight against Ngannou. Right? But people, again, if you guys want that fight, don't look at Francis Ngannou, because he's giving you that fight. Don't look at him. Jake Paul told you that, okay, there's a solution. A cross promotion. Come on. It is not impossible. There is a solution, a cross promotion. So we can have the fight that we want. The guy who is not giving us that fight right now is the UFC. The guy who's not giving us that fight right now is Dana White. The guys who are not giving us that fight right now is Boneless, Jonette Jones. The guy who are not giving us that fight right now are Daniel Cormier, or Bisping, right? Chelsonen. All these guys who are pushing the narrative of the UFC, right? From an angle that doesn't make sense. Because if we ask for that fight, because that fight is possible to do, very simple to do, right? So I rest my case. As you can see, there's only one guy who actually yet again has lost his balls, and it's Boneless Jones. He has lost his balls. He doesn't want to fight because he knows he can fight. He knows that no matter what he's saying, the guy who has the last word, and he can decide who's going to, if he wants to allow that fight to happen, is Dana White. So Jones better, just stay quiet. Just stay quiet, because he's embarrassing himself. It's as simple as that. He's embarrassing himself. For people who knows what's up, he's embarrassing himself. The UFC has put him in a situation where he is embarrassing himself. The UFC have put him in a situation when 2 to 3 to 5 years from now, if that fight doesn't happen, people are going to remember that, right? And are going to put everything in order and understand, what really happened. And they do now. They actually do understand what really happened, right? They've put in, so he better stop. He better just stay quiet and stop quacking. I think it would be better for him, for his legacy and for all that stuff, right? So that at least we can say that, yeah, okay, Jones didn't agree with that stuff. Jones at least is a guy who, even if he's got his little demons here and there, like domestic violence, DUI, and all that stuff, right? At least he really wanted to fight, right? But that's not what he's showing us. What he's showing us is that he's the little dog of Dana White. I mean, he's doing like everybody else, right? He's a little girl in front of Dana White, and that's his daddy, and that's what he told Fury, by the way, right? That's his daddy. Okay, guys, that's it for me. That's long enough. I hope that you're gonna be able to to cope with all that content. I got a dandy one for you on my next video, and the dandy one that I have for you on my next video is going to be about Fury, that trio: Fury, Boneless, Jones, and Francis Ngannou. Who should Fury fight? I mean, what would make sense, right? For Fury to fight, who it would make sense to fight. And to be honest, asking the question is answering it, right? Because we know that in the boxing ring, Jones has no chance against Boneless. Jones has no chance against Fury whatsoever, because his boxing is just awful to adapt it to UFC, to MMA. Awful. He has absolutely no chance, right? And in the octagon, Fury has no chance, zero chance whatsoever against Boneless. We know that. He has no chance whatsoever. The only fight that would make sense, because there's a chance both ways that things may happen, is against Ngannou. Ngannou has a better boxing. First of all, he's a boxer by nature anyway, right? So it would make sense. You know what? He's got a chance. Not only he's a boxer, but also he's got the power. What is the number of KO? We were saying that Boneless is not a KO artist, right? He's accumulation and all that. He wouldn't have the time to do accumulation on Fury. Forget it. When you got a guy like Ngannou, one punch can turn your lights out. So it's still there, and he knows how to box, right? And into the octagon, right? He has maybe a little bit less tools in terms of wrestling and bringing Fury down, right? And maybe there is opportunities and all that. So to be honest with you, the fight with Fury and the Predator makes a lot more sense than the fight Fury and Boneless, for sure. So guys, you take it easy. Please don't forget to subscribe. Have a good time. And talk to you guys later for the next video. Remember, bye guys.